All right, we got Why Gaming Journalism is Dying by your boy, Asmongold TV. All right, let's see what he's got to say about gaming journalism.
Gaming journalism. Where is it? And more importantly, why is it? Today, we're going to be answering those questions and figuring out why gaming journalism is what it is today. And
Complete, utter dog shit, doo doo trash, dick salads. That's my prediction.
recently, there's been some other people asking this question, which are the people that work at the parent company of Kotaku. Whenever they realized that inevitably, I think they were losing money, losing brand value, or losing some combination of the two, and they have decided to completely flip the script on Kotaku, which is
Oh,
the games journalism website that they own. And instead of Kotaku writers posting their hot takes on just different topics, now these games journalists are going to be unfortunately having to write articles about video games.
oh shit. I mean, me personally, the only reason I knew about the brand Kotaku was when other people talked about the bonehead articles that they wrote, and that's literally it. I Other than that, I have had no like direct. I don't know, like maybe my social medias weren't just like hitting correctly whenever like it was trying to like throw Kotaku like at me or whatever. I just never really paid attention, and then through like I would guess through 3 or 4 degrees of separation, the only things I ever heard about Kotaku were only negative. So if that's the case, and the first things I start to hear about your brand are negative, that's kind of telling.
So, this has come to the very big dismay of a lot of the people that work there. The editor in chief of Kotaku has resigned, along with, I think, a handful of other people. Now, I don't necessarily think this is necessarily a win in all cases, but I do think for a lot of people it definitely is. And the truth is, I wanted to talk about why I think that's happening, because I actually don't think that it's entirely something that has to do with Kotaku. I think that it's a problem, a meta level problem, with number one, games journalism,
Mm-hmm.
and number two, text media in general online, and the way
Ooh.
that people consume it. So I wanted to talk about why I think this is happening and
So how I consume text media, me personally, and maybe this is like kind of similar for other people. I consume text media in like little bite sizes, like appetizer sizes. Like I'll read a Twitter post, I'll read a fucking like maybe like a short and sweet like Reddit paragraph or something. Maybe I'll scroll down the thing and read what other people think about a thing. Um, when it comes to like insane long form essay type texts, I don't really read them anymore as much as I used to when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I used to love getting my Game Informer magazine or my Nintendo Power or Xbox magazine or PlayStation magazine, and I would love to just read the entire magazine. I look at all the like mini games. I look at all like what's some developer would like write an article or something like this and this is the current new hotness in video games. And I remember like a lot of those old articles, those were like so interesting. Like, oh, this is what it was like developing Skyrim. Like the first Skyrim, not Skyrim on the smart fridge. Um yeah, a lot of those were just like interesting because I've never really been like I don't know, I've never really got to hear the thoughts of like a game dev. So I thought like back then it was like super cool. Um let's see what else. And then like towards like the middle or like the back of the magazine, you'd get like the little reviews or whatever. Sometimes if it was like a big gangbuster game, it would be like a whole page or like maybe a couple pages. Or if it was like a little tiny game, it would either take up like a half a page and then they'd squeeze like 2 reviews on a page, or sometimes there would be like 3 reviews, like a big rectangle at the top and like the bottom would be split into two, and they would get like a number, like, oh, surprise, it'd be like a 6, 7, 8, or 9. And yeah, seldom would there ever be like a 5 or a 4. They did exist. If you have your old Game Informer magazines, those ratings still exist. But they were few and far between. Most of them were like 7s.
Where I think it's going to go. And I want to categorize kind of a lot of the concerns that I have into two different categories. You're going to have the first category, which are going to be things that are problems on a meta social level that exist beyond games journalism.
Yeah.
And then you're also going to have problems that exist.
People got shorter attention spans. True.
In the context of games journalism and things that relate more directly to Kotaku specifically.
Oh boy. Let me see who's shilling for who.
Being affected in this specific way. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Kotaku things and the more specific reasons of why this version of games journalism is dying. And if you go, and by the way, I want to make sure that everybody, we're all on the same page here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Open up Google, search for trends, look at all of the most popular gaming websites and, you know, the ones that write articles and all this, and, you know, search, look at worldwide, set the trend from 2004 to now, which is the longest data segment that they have on Google Trends, and look at the popularity of these websites, because every fucking one of them goes... it goes all the way down.
Yeah.
They're all dying, and Kotaku does seem to be leading the charge there.
Woohoo!
And I think some of the reasons, obviously...
The steepest slope is the funnest ride.
Is that Kotaku has had a lot of different people writing for the website over the years, and I think that with a lot of articles, this really kind of started to happen. The schism started to happen, I would say, in about 2014. This was like the advent of Gamergate. This is whenever people started distrusting games journalists, and in general, there became this adversarial relationship that was created between consumers of video games and critics of video games, or
what was I doing in 2014? Was I like an avid video game player? I think I was. But I think 2014, that was the time of like after, for sure, after Xbox 360. Because I hung on to my damn Xbox 360 for a long time. Maybe like 1 or 2 consoles after that. Like everyone was playing on like the newer PS4 or something, and like the Xbox One, I think. I don't know how Xbox did their shit. I just know everybody had the more updated consoles. You know, all my friends did, and I didn't, because I was like at a questionable point in my life where I was like job hopping from job to job, and I was like, I need fucking money for shit, and games got to take a backseat and whatever. And I just actually just played fewer games for longer times. Like, I played the shit out of Borderlands 2, played the shit out of Diablo 3, played the shit out of Skyrim, and a couple other games with like high replayability. So I was kind of like removed from the internet at that time because I wasn't a PC gamer. I only started becoming like a PC gamer within the last like 3-ish years, 4-ish years. You know, I could more easily stay like more in touch with what's happening. Like, I open up Twitter, it's like, oh, what's trending? Oh, this idiot said some dumb shit. Oh shit. But okay, so 2014.
Or professional critics of video games, commentators of video games, people in the video game industry and in the professional video game media space. So whenever this happened, obviously, you know, whenever you tell gamers that they're irrelevant, well, guess what? They think the same thing about you, and so that's pretty much when a lot of these things come down, which is...
When did that happen? Like, the game critics said the consumer base was irrelevant? Like, how does that make sense? Bitch, we're the ones, like, you're peddling your shitty-ass articles to. How are we irrelevant?
Is really kind of an obvious thing that you could expect to have happen. You know, insult your audience and they're going to leave. Who could have imagined that? So I think this is really one of the big problems, is that obviously you have a website like Kotaku, and the website is putting out 50 articles a day. Let's say 100 articles a day. Maybe let's say only 20 articles a day. And
bro, Like even the lowball 20 articles a day is absolutely insane. That's crazy.
And you hear something problematic about Kotaku maybe once every month, right? Maybe somebody has a crazy take, somebody says something stupid,
Mm-hmm.
and this happens once a month, maybe let's say twice a month. Think about how many articles get released, and then think about what the ratio of omega fuck up articles there are. It is a very, very small percentage of articles, but unfortunately, for Kotaku, if you build 100 bridges and you suck one dick, you're not a bridge builder, you're a dick sucker. And I'm going to tell you guys something. For the last 10 years, there's been a lot of people that could think Kotaku sucks dick. And that's the reality.
Yeah.
So guess what happens?
Like I've never heard Kotaku. Like I have never been bombarded by my social media where the headline was like, "Oh, hey, today we're going to talk about a positive thing that Kotaku did about like a well-written article that they did, well thought out. We're just going to look at it." That's literally never happened to me. Anytime Kotaku is like being mentioned, it's always like, "Oh, what ding dong do today?"
People are going to stop taking a website seriously, and they throw the baby out with the bathwater. They're not paying attention to the good articles. All they see is the bullshit. And then the next time Kotaku puts out an article about a new game that's well researched, well understood, and everything, well, guess what happens? People say, "Oh, well, it's Kotaku. Aren't they the ones that did X, Y, or Z?" So
Yeah.
whenever you have a few artists or writers, I guess you could say, not really artists, but writers on this platform, or bloggers in a lot of cases, let's be honest,
Yeah.
writing these opinion pieces about video games in order to garner clicks. Because really, if you go to the website, this is Kotaku, this is almost any of these websites. I'm 20, 20. Very
Ah.
funny. I was thinking about the year 2002, but
You ain't fucking 20, Asman.
yeah, I'm 33, okay? And so I remember back in the early 2000s, getting on my mom's computer before she woke up, trying to look on porn websites and everything.
Yeah.
And I swear to fucking God, guys, there were porn websites in the year 2001 that had less pop-ups and more ethical ads than a lot of these new gaming websites do
Yeah.
right now. It is insane.
Let me see. Maybe I can do this. Let me see. Open up, because I got like some ad block shit because it won't work on me. So like incognito. Let's see. Let's go to, what is this? Gaming Polygon. Kotaku right here. Bang. I'm not sure if like, oh, okay. Well, what the fuck is this? Close. So 1 pop up, 2 pop up, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is like just the same damn thing. Oh, that one moved. 7. It just auto plays. Is this more ads? I don't really know. 8, or this is like a movie? No, because I tell you what, they got the infinite scroll bar right here, so you're just gonna get hit by the same damn ad over and over again. Let's see. Is this just like just infinite? Oh, this is a sponsored thing. So sponsored. Okay. Okay, so maybe it wasn't 7. Maybe it was just like this thing constantly being like popping up. And okay, so yeah, I pretty much had enough. So let's go back.
I go up there and I'm getting like 4 different pop-ups. They're trying to get my email. They're like, "Can we locate your address? What's your zip code? Can we advertise this to you? Do you want DoorDash? Like, what is going on?" It's insane. So it's like I open up a website and I'm concerned that I'm going to get a virus somehow.
Yeah,
and,
no thank you.
Honestly, a virus would probably be the least of my concerns. So what ends up happening is that people obviously turn off ad block, but the reason for that is because the website is plastered with ads. That's effectively what's happening. So what happens? Well, it's very simple. If you have a website that's plastered full of ads, you are no longer focusing on creating quality content. You are now focusing on creating content that generates a large audience. And
generates engagement, for positive or negative. That is really what he's saying, because I mean, Kotaku's in a place where they just need people to be on their damn site. That's it. They don't care if you're there for games. They don't care if you're there if you hate them or whatever. They just want you to like click around. Just click around, please, God. Just click around. Bring some traffic to our site, please.
And the truth is that rage bait articles do that. There are a lot of people that are going to go to a platform, they're going to read the article.
And also, the word rage bait. I wasn't familiar with this word until like a couple years ago. Had no idea that people would intentionally like write articles and create videos and just create content in general for the sole purpose of I don't know what to call it. Like it's not like lying, but the purpose is to get a rise out of someone. It's like poking the bear, essentially. You know, you can poke the bear maybe once, but like you poke it again, it's like, bro, the bear about to like claw your ass. I had no idea that the word like people created content for like the sole purpose of rage baiting people.
Article, oh, son of a bitch, and then they're pissed off and then they leave. But at the end of the day, the person who wrote the article is still getting paid 25 cents for that or whatever. So that's effectively what happens. So a lot of these websites are built off of the economy of rage bait. They're built off of the economy of hate clicks. And that's what ends up happening. And then those hate clicks generate a negative, I guess, like perception of the website. And that negative perception bleeds over to other writers and other contributors on the website. And it effectively invalidates their hard work as well. I think
because not all writers are bad. It's just a few bad apples spoil the entire bunch, essentially. And that sucks if you're actually like a good writer. That just sucks.
Probably most people at Kotaku are probably just video game enjoyers who want to write articles about video games, then they love video games. But there are a handful of people that effectively spoil the whole bunch for the eyes of the gaming public at large. And I think...
And to me, I am not invested in any of these sites to actually develop any sort of like attachment to like the writer in like specifically. That's just not how I operate. You know, like I can understand like how some people could to be like, oh, I recognize that name. They made a couple of these other good articles. So they came out with like this person came out with another new article. It's probably going to be a banger. Let me see what they have to say. Like that's like a normal, healthy thing. But when this person is constantly being employed by like Kotaku, and like anytime I hear the word Kotaku, it's always from like bonehead articles. Like my knee-jerk thought is like, oh, well, if all I'm hearing is bad things, well, then everything is bad.
I think obviously there are some people that like the website. Kotaku's had good articles before. I don't think Kotaku is always wrong or terrible or they deserve to go out of business or anything like this, to be totally honest. I respect everybody's freedom of speech, especially the ones that I disagree with, very unfortunately. So, yes, but again, I do think that very...
Yeah. I can respect that you have an opinion, but I can also have the opinion that your opinion is fucking stupid.
Clearly, this is what's happening, is that these people are being alienated, and then they no longer go to the website for anything, even though they've only been alienated by a handful of users. So, basically, they're not wanting to go to the website. Website's credibility is damaged, and now nobody takes it seriously. Now, is moving over to making guides on the website actually going to work? Well,
probably
I think
not.
Let's find out. I really can't see it going any worse than what they have now.
Yeah.
So...
Bro, if I'm looking for a guide, I'm going to YouTube. I'm not going to any of these game websites. I'm going to the YouTuber for my favorite game that has already sank like 500 hours in a game. He knows how to do the damn thing already because he just got done doing it. Like, why would I go to this like rando website for a guide?
Well, really, I think they should try it out before they fire everybody. And somebody had the idea that, they're telling the writers they have to make 50 guides a week on Kotaku now. And somebody says that, oh, well, they don't really think that. They just want to put out this like massively high expectation. So hopefully that they will demoralize the employees and make them
Oof.
quit so they don't have to pay unemployment or any severance pay, which, it's the parent
Damn.
company that's doing this. Oh, there's a part of me that believes that's probably true.
Damn.
So, yeah, I think
That sucks for like the good article writers to be put into that like conveyor belt of just you better come out with good shit or we're gonna fire you. Like, damn, that sucks.
that's another big factor. And the guide idea of like making content about that, I do think is good. I do think it's possible for Kotaku to redeem its reputation and its image. It will probably take 5 years, realistically, for that to happen. And every time that something bad happens, it's you can take the take the boy out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the boy. People are going to be bringing that up with Kotaku every single time, right? It's the bridge builder and dick sucker thing all over again. So I think it'll be very, very hard for them, and I can't really see a world where Kotaku exists in the capacity that it does now in, let's say, 10 years from now. And so those are the reasons why I think Kotaku specifically are having problems. Now, I want to step back one step and let's talk about games journalism collectively and why I think it's having problems. The reason why I think a lot of games journalism is having problems is simply because it's an outdated medium, because a lot of other YouTubers are able to create content faster, they're able to be more agile, they're able to create the content in a way that, for example, here, let's do a little fucking experiment here.
All right.
Right now, gentlemen, if you are listening to this video
All
and
right.
you are not watching it, tab over and comment that, because I'm very, very curious. There are a lot of people who are passively consuming video content,
Yeah.
even though it's me here on the camera, but who gives a shit about that?
Yeah.
You are just simply listening to it on your second monitor while you're playing another video game.
And honestly, I would probably have already done this, but I just think this is just like a really good conversation piece. But yeah, like if I wasn't trying to like actually engage with this, I would have just been like listening to it.
And I think that's what happens with a lot of people. And with text media, you have to be an active consumer. But with video media, you can be a passive consumer.
Yeah.
And also video media, it's easier for it to keep your attention. I think this is especially true with video game media because video games are fundamentally a video experience, video game.
Yeah, you have to utilize all your senses to engage with a video game. Well, as many as, as you can, what, you got sight, you got touch, you got sound. There's no taste or smell yet. And so there's 3 right there, and if you play on controller, you might as well be playing with 2. Yeah.
So writing text media, you are transitioning that medium into something else, and of course there are going to be things that are lost in translation, as with anything else. So I think that's also a very big component to it, is that the idea of an article or like a review written by a game reviewer, I think that you're going to have just a much lower bar of quality there whenever you compare that to somebody who is reviewing games on YouTube and they only have to pay themselves, maybe an editor, and maybe 2 other people at max in a lot of these cases. So you have an overhead of 4 people. You have no business space. You have no. You think about like Kotaku, each writer probably has a boss who has a boss who has a boss who has a boss.
Damn.
And guess what? All of those people are getting paid. So that means that you have to plaster, again, more ads. You have to diminish the user experience. And also, very importantly, whenever you look at it from the perspective of a writer, you have to decrease the quality of your work because you need to make money and you need to meet quotas. So
Damn.
what ends up happening...
It's a quantity over quality thing. And that sucks, dude. That really does.
And this is what happens, how many of you guys have had this happen at a job, is your job creates some sort of quantitative assessment measure. I worked at the government, and so I know about this. How many of you guys have had a quantitative assessment measure that gamified your job? Well,
Yep.
I think that a lot of people have had this experience, and guess what happens whenever you turn your job into a, basically video game? Well, people start playing the game.
People are gonna meta the fuck out of the job, just like they meta the fuck out of the video game. I'm not trying to explore. I'm not trying to enjoy myself. Just tell me what the best build path is. Tell me what I gotta do to spend the least amount of time in the game, playing the game. That's it.
instead of doing their job. And whenever you have a reward structure that is created around putting out content as fast as possible, you have a reviewer who's supposed to go through 10 games a week and they're trying to look and make sure that they have all the information for it. They're either massively overworking themselves to an unhealthy degree, or they are putting out content that is incomplete or inaccurate or not fully baked as much as it should be. I think a really great example of a lot of these reviews is New World. I remember whenever New World came out and everybody was giving it glowing reviews, and then all the screenshots that were being shown in New World were all screenshots of the level 20 zones. I think that's a problem. You know, you
Oh,
have a massive long form game, and all the people that are reviewing it have put 10 hours into it max, and this is a
ew.
game that's supposed to be played on a very regular basis. And I think that for any of you guys that have, been very deep into a game
Hmm.
and you've, played through the entire thing, let's say, and you look at, for example, a Final Fantasy 16 review, and all of the screenshots are from Garuda, which is like the first boss in the game, and
Mm.
it's like, well, what's the rest of the game? Well, we don't really know about that because they didn't finish it. So it's like, oh
Uh,
yeah, let's give this a great glowing review whenever
yeah,
we haven't even done the entire thing.
yeah. This is just going back to I mean, what I said in the beginning. Um, a lot of the times, the critics of video games, they will play on any game really. They will play on the easiest mode. They will play only the main mission, and they are just speed running the game essentially. If they have any sort of like gamer sense to like playing like any type of game or whatever. The goal is to simply the mindset even before you play the game is already fucked. In that your only goal is to just get through the game as fast as humanly possible on the easiest difficulty if the game allows it. Um, I don't know. I think that's like so like not right because like when a developer makes a game, they have an intended game loop for you to go through. There's like some trial and error that they want you to go through. They want you to feel like the elation and dopamine whenever you beat the boss or whatever. So whenever you just like one shot the whole thing and you don't really engage in the systems in any meaningful way, then I don't know. It just feels slimy to me because the only reason that they do that is because they just want to get the review out first. That's it. Like, oh, we got a review out the fucking 10 hours like after the game came out. Whoa, we beat the game in 10 hours. And most of the time that's not even the case. A lot of the times it'll be like, okay, we got through halfway through the game, and okay, we feel like we know most of the game. All of the introductory tutorial levels are done with, and we can just keep going. We can write a review and be like, okay, this is pretty much what you're getting for the game, and yep, it's a 9 out of 10. All right, peace. Or it's a 7 out of 10. Peace. And that sucks.
And I think that's what ends up happening. So you have a profit monetization structure that incentivizes shoddy work and bad work. And I think also what really makes this even worse is the second component that I was talking about, or first component really, that I was talking about previously, which is how bad articles and bad content ends up getting more clicks and more views. So it creates a feedback loop of creating things that are offensive or problematic to get views instead of things that are uplifting or useful to create views.
Oh yeah. I mean, conventional news is like this for the most part. If you want most like conventional news, like on TV still, is done in like bite-size segments. So how much news can you really get in like a minute or so, or 30 seconds or something like that before they jump on to the next thing? You can't really dig into anything. It's like, oh, this guy killed this guy killed this kid. There was like a rape, there was like a traffic jam, this animal died. What else? Oh, this business blew up or something. It's only negative shit that you see on conventional news. It's so stupid. Like, yes, I would say that there are probably like maybe one or two segments on the news that it's like, let's promote our local businesses or something like that, which is fine, but it's like it's the ratio is baffling. It's like 1 to 4. For every like one good thing, there's like four other bad things that they have to report on because I don't know. It's just I think it's people's nature to be I don't know, just more interested in the shit that's wrong than the shit that's right. It's like, oh, this is going right. Okay, well that's not interesting. I don't care about it. Oh, this shit's fucked up. Let me go watch that. People are more willing to go engage with the fucked up thing than the uplifting thing.
So you write a really bad review, everybody reads the review to see how bad it is, and you're making a lot of money. Oh my god, I need to make more bad reviews. And I don't think that anybody really goes into it like that, but at the same time, whenever you have a reward structure, you do create a feedback loop one way or another. So I think that's another big component of why games journalism is not as popular as it used to be. And a great question and a great frame of reference to think about this from is when was the last time that an article was relevant and important enough for the gaming community to be talking about it in a metric other than outrage?
No idea.
I can't imagine it, right? I mean, I think Jason Schreier wrote a few articles recently that were pretty good. He wrote like there's like a Blizzard one back whenever the whole scandal happened, and there were
The
a
breast
handful
milk
of other
thing?
ones too that were pretty good. He's probably the main guy I would think of. But besides that, I mean, fuck, who are we really talking about
I don't
here?
know.
So
Bro, I just don't consume like video game content like that. I don't know. Like I used to back before the internet was more prevalent today than it was in the past. Like I would be more willing to like recognize like names that wrote articles back then because I just simply wasn't hooked into the internet back then. I was like, oh, new Game Informer for the month came out. Oh, let me go binge this shit. You know, turn through every page, read everything, and read every, all that. Like I've done it in the past, but I don't know what happened. I just fell out of it.
I think that this is also again there's the component of competency that is effectively invalidated because of the frequency that you need to work at in order to produce a living wage from this type of work. And then you also have the other component to this, which is the fact that I think a lot of the writing in these gaming journalism websites in general, and I think this is true also with all media, but I kind of want to use it in the second concentric circle before we get that big. But I think that especially with games journalism, you don't really have a lot of like active voice that's really seen whenever you're writing something or reading something that was written by a certain person. I do believe that written media is actually the most pure form of communication of ideas that there is. And I actually
That is probably more true than I want to admit because I'll say this. When over the last couple years, and like I'll say like I don't know, 2 or 3 years, I have been falling out of love with movies and like TV shows and shit like that. Like I'll still watch like random shit if something good pops up. But for the most part, like I've been subscribed to like a lot of streaming services and whatnot. But a lot of the like I would let like months go by to have like some stream service, and I'm like, oh, what's on I don't know, Max tonight, and then I'd be like, okay, I've seen all these, nothing new, nothing new, and then another month or two would go by, and I'm just like so disinterested in the streaming services, so I'm just like, I'm just gonna fucking unsubscribe from this shit. There's nothing new, nothing interesting coming out. This shit's just burning a hole in my pocket. So I just unsubscribe to a bunch of these damn things. Like if a movie pops out, like I'll go subscribe to it again just to go see the movie. And then I'll probably like unsub the month after. But I have actually been going back to like books. Like I just got done reading The Hobbit for the first time ever. And holy shit, it was so good. It's so much better than the movie. It's just, I can jump in, jump out whenever I want. There's no commercials. There's no bullshit in it. I don't know. It's just so much more enjoyable. I can let my imagination run wild again. And yeah, I can just interpret a sentence how I want. So it's just awesome. But yeah.
Actually view this entire deterioration as a bad thing. I think that written media, like there are a lot of times, you guys know probably, you've probably read a few of my twit longers that I've written about different things, and I actually genuinely enjoy doing that because writing things down and having them constructed like verbally and in a literal way actually gives me a way to organize it in my mind
Hmm.
to where I can think about it in those paragraphs that I create.
Yeah.
And I think that really, like, you're talking about me here, you're thinking about me, what I'm saying, but whenever there are just
Yeah, there's all this like body language and whatnot that, people can interpret in whatever way. Uh, there's like the whole face and whatnot. What was that thing where it's like I forgot what it was. Like it wasn't like 90%. It was like a majority percent of communication is done non-verbally between humans whenever they talk to each other. I forgot if it was 90% or not. Like maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I just remember it's like greater than 50%. Um, it's the tone in the voice. It's what you're saying. It's also what you're not saying. Um, but yeah, like with text, all you have to go by is the text.
words on the page, I think that the words on the page convey an idea in a much more pure way,
Hmm.
and there is less noise in that message that's being sent.
Yeah,
However, and this might sound a little bit contradictory, but I believe that it's true also, the truest, greatest like media and writing is the writing that you can tell who wrote it without reading the author's name. And
oh
I think that having a certain voice that you're able to use inside of the media that you write and inside of the things that you say, and it's like, for example, here's a really good one for anybody.
yeah, but there's also reading between the lines, what the person is saying, and figuring out the idea that they're trying to convey versus figuring out what they're not saying that they could be hinting at. So, yes, writing is very straightforward like that, but like I've read a ton of things where well actually no, not really. A lot of the books I've read have actually been like some fantasy bullshit, so I can't even say that. So, I like to put anything on a pedestal. I know is just wrong. Never put anything on a pedestal as like the truest thing. Like oh, what's the best movie of all time? Is it Lord of the Rings? Well, yes and no. It's not like above reproach, but it was pretty damn good. Is it The Matrix? Well, yeah, for its time, it was pretty good. There was a couple like holes in it here and there, and maybe the books did it better or something that it did like a thing better than the movies conveyed it in a different way or something like that. Um, like putting anything on a pedestal, I just from like me living on Earth for 34 years is always wrong. Like never put anything on a pedestal. Nothing is above reproach.
Who's in the streaming community, an XQC tweet. We all know what it is. You all see it. You don't even need to know who it's from. You just see a massive block of text that's caps lock. Well, it could also be Donald Trump, to be fair, from back in the day. But that's basically a good example of that, right? Where you're writing something in a voice that creates a personality that people know that it's you, but at the same time that's conveyed in a literary way. And I think that being able to do that is and knowing like to the degree of doing it, right? Because like there are some things that need to be more dry and some things that need to be a little bit more played up and exciting.
Yeah.
So whenever you have something that's being written and you have to write 10 articles a week, well, you don't really have time to really think about how can I insert my voice into this? How can I dial up the rhetoric of this to make it more compelling and interesting to listen
Yeah.
to? How can I think about the readability of these paragraphs and how it flows together? Am I reading this out aloud? Am I thinking about this? Like, you're not thinking about effectively the psychology in which that you're creating the information that these words are, meant to convey. And I think this is a roundabout way of saying that the writing quality is just kind of low. And I think that it's low, obviously, because there are a lot of people that are just really not very good writers. And then
I mean, what are the requirements to get a job at like any of these like game blog places? Don't you at least have to like finish high school or something, or maybe get like a bachelor in writing or something? I mean, shit. Like, isn't most news and like newspapers convey like written so that like a fifth grader can read it, like on a fifth grade reading level in the United States? And you're saying that we can't even meet that bar of a fifth grade reading level? What the fuck are we doing as a unit? Like, what are we doing?
And there's also another really big factor, which is, I think, equal, if not a larger factor, is that the profit margins and the profit, win condition here is quantity, not quality.
Yep.
And so, guess what happens? Well, you have a lot of quantity and you don't have a lot of quality. That's just life. And so that's another very big reason why I think games journalism is being kind of made irrelevant, is that the popularity of YouTube videos that are able to just release something that's way more comprehensive and deeper,
Yeah.
with a much lower barrier to entry, with a much more
I love going deeper.
targeted audience, because it's like if you watch Skill Up, if you watch Force Gaming, if you watch Mortismal Gaming, if you watch me, if you watch Moist Critical, you know the person Dunkey, Mudahar.
Mm-hmm.
You know the person who you're reading that article from or you're watching a video from, and people who resonate and who agree with them in terms of their viewpoints of games, they find that content creator and they look for the person that has the same type of preferences that they do. And whenever you have a large scale website for that, you don't have that ability for a content creator to have that, a writer to have like that special audience that they can write for and know that they're making content for those people explicitly in the same way that YouTubers can. So
I think you can do this as a writer. You just can't do it under the umbrella of like another company. I think you have to be like a freelance writer yourself, if anything. And even then, it's like, it's slim pickings.
that's also another big reason, is that
Because when you're a freelance writer, you can write whatever the fuck you want, whenever you want, however long you want, however deep you want. All variables, it's up to you. You know, your craft isn't dictated by anybody above you.
it's easier to dial in on what you really want. And with a large scale website like Kotaku, it's harder to do that. So that's basically the other point, right? This is things with games journalism. So I think, again, massive overhead, being outdated by YouTubers, low, quality articles that are incentivized by ad clicks. That's another really big problem that's affecting all news media, or sorry, all video game news media. So now we're going to talk about the last concentric circle here.
Oh boy.
Which is the reason why I think text media in general is declining. I think that we all know, obviously, that newspapers aren't as popular as they used to be.
Yeah.
And people are
Like, bro, I haven't even seen any newspaper vendors. Like, I don't know when. I just realized this right now. Like, what was it? Like, maybe 5 years ago, I would see newspaper vendors, but like, maybe even longer. Like those fucking machines. Well, they're not really machines. They're just like a little fucking coin operated thing. Or it's like, what did they look like? They look like this shit. The fucking brush. They look like this. It's like, wah, wah. It looked like this thing. And then there would be like a window with like the newspaper like on the inside, and it'd be like a picture, and it's like news article, blah 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 blah. and then there'd be like the little coin thing right there, and then there'd be like a handle right there or whatever, so you could like I don't know, fucking open the door to like you know what's funny? You put in a single quarter, you open the door, and you had access to like all the newspapers, and it was just like the good Samaritan thing to only take one. Like, let's say there was like a newspaper article that you just like disagreed with on the headline. You could have easily just paid like a quarter, or even got like a fake quarter, like a piece of like a metal disc on a string. Pluck that shit, or not even on a string because it's a fucking like metal disc. You probably could have like made like a metal disc, put that shit in there, open the damn thing, take all the newspapers out, dump them in your car, and be like, I hate this news article. No one's gonna read this. Bro, you 100% could have done that. I am just realizing this right now. Oh my god. I think that's maybe the reason that what do you call it? Like they did away with those newspaper vendors. They realized that they're just like so inefficient with delivering the newspaper news.
Are consuming text media now, but oftentimes it's in the form of thumbnails, tweets, or some other variation of very, very short form text that is less than, or at least more, not more than a paragraph. So what ends up happening is that you have obviously, like, how much information can you really convey in a paragraph, and people don't really care about reading as much because, again, it is an active activity, whereas
Yeah.
watching a video or listening to a video is a passive activity that you
Yeah.
can do while you're doing another activity at the same time, which again creates an advantage for video content. So
Yep.
I think that's also another very big reason. But in general, I'm going to be honest, I think that we have a literacy problem. I think that in general, and I don't even know if it is truly literacy or it is just literacy laziness. People just simply don't like reading as much. And I find
I used to not like reading, but it wasn't until I just got so frustrated with like the movies and shows that have been getting released. I just like, because I used to read. Like I read all the old Halo books, all the Splinter Cell books. I was like an active reader when I was in like fifth grade and like below, because you had that, what was that Scholastics thing where like you had every book you read, you got like X amount of points, and if you read like a big ass book, you got a shitload of points. But however, you know what was funny? I wish I could fucking go back and meta the fuck out of that damn Scholastic thing, because I guarantee it, those goddamn Harry Potter books were so not worth the damn points. You honestly should have been reading. I should have been reading a bunch of smaller books for like, I don't know, 1 or 2 points than a goddamn Harry Potter novel for like maybe, I don't know, like a 50 or 100 points. Because god damn it, I wasn't that smart back then. I wish I could have did that. Go back and just meta the fuck out of the Scholastics reading thing. Damn it.
this to be a very big problem. This is not a good thing. But I do think that it's definitely happening. And I also think that just in a general sense, and I think this has been exacerbated by things like COVID, for example, it's probably the biggest example I have, is that there has been a growing distrust towards any sort of authoritative media at all. So whenever you see like a big website that has an opinion, people are like, oh, okay, well, does BlackRock own this, or does George Soros own this, right? Or Rupert Murdoch own this?
Yeah.
So everybody is thinking that they can see the man behind the machine, and their 7 different layers of skepticism are on full activation mode,
Yep.
and they're not trusting anything that these articles are saying. Now, by the way, I think this is an incredibly good thing, and I think that for a lot of people, they exercise 2 different degrees of skepticism. Their skepticism for things that they agree with is like, oh, is it? Yeah, you said somebody else said that? Yeah, of course they did. Everybody knows this is true. But, if it's something you disagree with, it's like, okay, source? Okay, how many people were in the sample size?
Yeah.
Who was sampled?
Yeah.
Okay, where were the people that were sampled?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're looking for healthy people, but it's in a college? Well, of course it's going to be young people. Yeah, invalid study. No, true.
Oh my god, this is so true, man. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I think I used to do this too, and probably to some degree, I do this, but I don't know. I'm trying to be like a better, I don't know, person with like even shit that I agree with to try to well, not necessarily figure out what's like right and wrong in the world, but like just come at everything with like some level of skepticism, not just the shit you disagree with.
No, that's fake. And so people are very, very, very skeptical about the things that they disagree with, and they often get taken advantage by the things that they agree with that are still misrepresented in a way that's manipulative. So I think that's another very big problem, but that's a problem for another video. The
Yeah.
point is that there has been a growing distrust of mainstream media and media in general, and this also includes YouTubers, but to a lesser extent because people don't view them in the same way as a conglomerate like Kotaku of multiple people and a news outlet in general. And this is anything from Fox News, CNN, down to Kotaku or IGN.
Yeah.
And people, of course, have the same viewpoints about alternative media.
I don't even watch the news anymore. Like the TV, like the news on the TV. I just simply do not watch it. I don't even have a TV in my room anymore. I just got these fucking computers and I'm just here chilling most of the day, getting tight ass hip flexors from sitting too much and doing my goddamn little gyro ball fucking exercises for fucking aim training and bullshit. So, yeah.
Except for alternative media is much more overt with what their biases are in general. So I think that you have a literacy problem, whether this is actual literacy ability or literacy laziness. Does it really matter? I think the same effect is going to happen.
Yeah,
So
functionally
you've got
same
that
thing.
factor as well. And then you also have the other very, very large issue that I just think that people don't really give a shit that much about
Yeah.
what the articles are about. Like this is something that's been happening with, I would say, everything. Like I read all of these articles and it seems like nobody is engaging with them. Nobody cares as much anymore. And I think also there has been a level of emotional elevation that all rhetoric and all conversations on the internet have. And I think that a really great temperature check for this would be if you look at a lot of the YouTube thumbnails of, I wonder who. Think about all of the YouTube thumbnails and faces that different people and YouTubers make,
Yeah.
and how the more expressive faces and the more emotionally driven faces drive more attention and more click-through traffic. There's a
Yeah.
reason why so many content creators do the exact same thing.
Yeah, that with like the clickbait faces and like oh surprised O face like oh my god that noise. I mean I do that shit, but like the only reason I did it is just because that's what everybody else is doing, and I don't know dick about ass. So if they're doing it, then I'll fucking do it. And I even know like that's not even the best way because some people can get away with just doing like a little name generator thing or like the random thumbnail generator. I mean shit. But like I don't know. It's just it's tough.
It's because it works. So whenever you have a highly elevated culture of people that are looking for extreme viewpoints and opinions, text media isn't as good at transmitting highly emotional viewpoints that are very contentious in that way, in the same way that, let's say, a video like this is, for example, or
Mhm.
a live stream is. So you have people that are gravitating towards more emotionally driven media, and I think that text media, again, one of the beautiful and great things about text media, but also an Achilles heel in today's society, is the fact that a lot of people simply are not interested in the facts. They are not simply interested in reading information about something. They want to read a headline, they want to get mad about it, and if the headline turns out that it was wrong, well, then somehow they find a way to rationalize it after the fact.
Yeah, this is something I've heard from a couple people now is that humans are not truth seeking beings. They don't actively go out to seek the most absolute truth for all things in their life. They just don't. They go out and they want to seek the thing that they agree with. They don't want the truth. I mean, whether or not you agree with it is one thing, but like just look at people's actions. I mean, look at your own actions. Um, yeah,
So we have all of these problems coming together to create what I think is a perfect storm for the effective, Armageddon, for the the Ragnarok of these different gaming websites. And I do think that some of them will survive, and I think that some of them are changing their business model in a tremendous way. Good.
bro. How much do you bet when the Ragnarok of all these gaming websites happen, there will be like one surviving site, and then that one surviving site essentially just absorbs the other ones, like all the other writers. So it'll just be a monopoly on like one site. $5 says that's what happens.
Good example of this is IGN. IGN's been releasing a lot more videos, and these are videos that maybe are just reposts of trailers, maybe they are first looks, maybe they are insider looks, and they're also even publishing opinion pieces that people have in video form on YouTube. And I think that in doing so, they are trying to create that newer audience and make money in a way that's more relevant to today's society. And I think that's really what's going to be happening for a lot of them. And as with anything, as millions of years, right, adapt or die, evolve or die.
Yeah.
It's not the strongest of the species that evolves, nor the most intelligent. It is the one that is most adaptive to change. There's a quote from Charles Darwin, the guy who discovered evolution. So guess what?
Yeah.
It's still true, and it's true even in a symbolic sense like this. So you're going to be seeing a lot of these gaming websites falling apart and probably losing at least what little relevance that they have. There's a certain point where it's no longer worth it to publish these articles and to have such a large staff on hand in order.
I mean, I don't even know how it's fucking like sustainable right now. I mean, I could go on like Kotaku right now and look up like any given article, and there'll be like single digit comments on a lot of those articles. And I've done this like in the past, like the last like week or two, and it's just like, I mean, because like I don't see the number. You know how like Twitter has like it got like it's got like the heart button, the comment button, the retweet with the like the recycle arrows or whatever, and it's got the bookmark button, and then it's got like the three lines, like the three vertical lines. That will say like how many people saw this thing. These article sites don't have the three lines button. Like they don't show how many people like engaged with the article. Well, not really engaged, but like clicked on an article, sat there for like, I don't know, 5-10 seconds, enough for it to count as like an engagement or a view, and then clicked off of it. Like they just simply don't have that button, so I can't see how. Like if I were to guess, it would probably be like only a couple hundred, if anything. I mean, from like what I know, it's like every single comment is about like 10 views or something like that. I mean, that's just like a guess. Maybe I could be wrong, but like that's just what I've seen.
To create this type of content. And there's a lot of people that are saying good riddance, and I understand why you say that. I respect that. That's totally okay. But I do think it's definitely a bittersweet thing because, as I said, I think text media has a great place in society. I think it's extremely useful, and it's great at conveying a true message and an idea. Not feelings, not people, and not, oh, this is what it was, but an actual idea. And you're thinking about it internally in your own head and not consuming it as an external stimulus.
Yeah.
And so that's my viewpoint. That's why I think that gaming media is falling apart. I think that again there's these three different concentric circles. Text media is just falling apart in general. I see this with newspapers. It's very, very common with newspapers, and I think it's becoming common everywhere. It's just gaming media is simply one example of that occurring.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, I wanted to make this video, talk a little bit about this topic. I have some opinions about it I wanted to share, and I'd be curious to hear kind of what you guys think about it. Do you still read any gaming news articles? Do you care about
Not
them?
really.
Are you happy that they're going out of business? What do you think?
I didn't really pay attention to any of them in the first place, so I'm kind of like indifferent to it, really.
And that's basically about all I've got. But yeah, I've wanted to talk about this at more of a length for a while. So I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.
Noise. I mean, yeah. I mean, I mean, Aspen's just straight cooking pretty much, for the most part. I mean, the gaming journalism, it was relevant when I wasn't on the fucking internet. It was relevant back then, and since the advent of the internet and YouTube and social media with video content, it's just been taking a hit. It simply has. I mean, there's nothing really else to say, but yeah, that's it. I mean, I like when Asmund does like these little, well, not little, but like these little 30-minute like bullshit about like an actual topic and whatnot. I think they're just really engaging in terms of like conversation and whatnot, and I hope he does more because I don't know, I just like him. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, later.